Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review South Park, post-COVID, the return of COVID. Because you had the COVID special, you had the vaccine special, you had post-COVID after 40 years, and now you got the return of COVID because we have a new variant, and this is so interesting because like my review for the post-COVID special that they had on Paramount Plus for Thanksgiving blew up. And I was excited to talk about this one as well because like that left you on such a compelling and interesting cliffhanger because, you know, to give you the background, we're 40 years in the future when COVID's finally quote-unquote over, and Dr. Kenny, you have McCormick, who is looking into curing COVID, and now there's a new strain of COVID, the McCormicron variant, because of course. And you have an adult, Stan, Kyle, and trying to like solve things, and then you have Cartman, who is a rabbi and has a whole entire family married to a woman named Yentl, and trying to stop them. And now things get a little bit more interesting because throughout this whole first special, it's like, is Cartman good or not? And it's just like, oh, Cartman wants to do anything he can to save the family that he has, because what happens if they go back and change things and stop COVID from happening? And that's the compelling thing, because like COVID's back and they're going to time travel. And you throw in time travel because, you know, South Park could do whatever the hell it wants at this point. And they're going to try to go back in time and stop COVID because they know where it started with the pangolin and Randy Marsh, and trying to stop that. But you have Stan, Kyle, and Cartman, who are all in different kinds of stories in this particular sequel. And you have Stan, who is still struggling with his Alexa, because you know in the future Alexa is like an actual android with you and not just like a voice on something, and trying to struggle with that, and Kyle trying to process through his extreme suspicions of Cartman this whole entire time, and trying to stop Cartman, who's now starting FATS, which is like was a federation against time travel. And it's just like, oh, fat. Come on, fat guy. And you have Cartman, who, it's very interesting, he's very motivated to stop them from time traveling, and he's going to manipulate people, he's going to do that Cartman thing. And this whole first special, the post-COVID, Cartman was avoiding doing what Cartman does best, which is being Cartman, being manipulative, being abusive, and taking advantage of people. And now you find him, it's like, oh, here's Cartman's true colors, because he's going to do anything to protect the family that he has, because he doesn't want to change the past. Because if he does, Cartman's not happy anymore. He doesn't have these little kids who are just like, F you, Uncle Kyle. And, it's like trying to stop that from happening. And you have all these like tricky real intentions happening, and of course you have Integrity Weed. Randy Marsh is a big part of this particular sequel episode, because like in the first episode you find him, he's in like this like Blade Runner-esque like giant high-rise nursing home, and now he's out trying to get Integrity Weed to help cure COVID. And there's even more Blade Runner references in this special. There's one particular one where Randy's going full-blown Roy Batty and just like, oh my god. And that's so great. And what's interesting is because the big cliffhanger from the last episode was, as it turns out, there's a Mr. Cows, or it was a Chouse, but no, it's Mr. Chaos. And guess what? It's Butters. That's me. And Butters is introduced into this, and what they do with Butters, which I'm not going to spoil, but it's so relevant right now and is so funny. And he's dangerous, and that's the interesting thing. And there's a crazy confrontation and all the references to some, like, all I'm going to say is NFTs. And, which I didn't know what they were until I watched this episode. And then you have, there's a lot of laughs in this. There's a lot of heart, surprising heart in it, and some interesting motivations for some of these characters. And, you know, you have all these different kinds of things going on, and it's a compelling, interesting follow-up to the last special, and it pays off on this cliffhanger really well. And, you know, really, it starts playing with some, like, Terminator stuff and, like, time travel and, like, what if we send people back? There's a whole entire sequence that's ripped right out of Terminator. It's just like, oh my god. And it still has plenty of laughs. It leaves, this particular one leaves with some serious amount of closure. And, you know, still that through point, you still got Integrity Weed, you still have Cartman, and, like, seeing what they do with Cartman by the end of this episode was absolutely hilarious. And it's so interesting. I don't know, because, like, I think Stan and Kyle turn out to be some of the least interesting characters in the series. But what they do with so many of the supporting cast is so great. But this whole entire idea of, like, jumping into the future, having these adult versions of these characters was such a great idea. And I enjoyed the ride so much. And I really hope you all check out this special too. I know there's plenty of new specials coming. There's, like, I don't know, like 20 specials that they're supposed to be doing about South Park on Paramount Plus. So maybe this is the reason why you get Paramount Plus, is to watch all these fun South Park specials. But post-COVID and then post-COVID, the return of COVID, is a crazy time and such a fun time. So if you haven't checked it out, go check it out, especially if you're a fan of South Park. But those are my thoughts on South Park post-COVID, the return of COVID. But let me know what you think, and let's talk some TV. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.